Yeah, I know I'm the thing standing between you and your coffee break, but I hopefully can keep it entertaining. And really honored to be here. We're really lucky at Nespresso to have a multi-year partnership with Tanzi and the NYU Center of Sustainable Business. And I'm really honored to be here representing the company and telling you hopefully something new. I think if you're in the space, hopefully you know a little bit about Nespresso and our sustainability efforts. But if you don't, I'm hoping to take you on a little bit of a journey through who we are and why sustainability is so core to our business. So I'll start with a little bit about myself. I've been with the business 9 years, and you can see here that I've been fortunate enough to, hopefully you can tell those are coffee farms. If you don't know what a coffee farm looks like, surprise. I was really fortunate about 8 years ago to visit one of my first coffee farms in Colombia. That's back in 2017. And then just last year, I traveled with Tanzi to Costa Rica to some of our most sustainable farms in 2024. So my task today is to consolidate those 8 years of learnings that I've had on the farms to you in about 20 minutes with everything Nespresso does in sustainability. But a quick note on my background. You probably noticed my title is VP of Marketing and Sustainability. It's a really tricky role to juggle. I think we just came off an amazing panel where sustainability claims and sustainability conversation is more and more increasingly important in the marketing space. But marketers are being hushed, right? There's this tension in the world we live in today with the EPA being, dismantled in many ways. We face a really increasing challenge to really not just live by our values, which I think I'll hopefully be able to explain to you that Nespresso does, but find ways to communicate it. Tanzi and I shared a great conversation about a year ago where she sort of helped me, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but helped me see how frustrating it is when you work as a business in the way we do and actually aren't getting a lot of credit for it. So that's the task, and that's why my title, I think, is a really interesting one to juggle marketing and sustainability. But let me take you on our journey in 3 phases. The first part of our journey today is really about where it all begins, right? We're really lucky in many ways to have a single SKU product, a fairly simple, you might call it, value chain, because we have one ingredient when you talk about our coffee. Of course, we also have machines, and I'll talk about that in a minute, and our packaging. But from a coffee standpoint, it's a single ingredient. It's grown all over the world, so that still presents its own challenges. And our goal, when you think about sustainability, is not just altruistic. It's really serving the business. When we set out on this journey as Nespresso, we knew that we had work to do to secure the future of high quality coffee. The world loves coffee. And if we don't deliver the quality that the world expects and that we have established as Nespresso, and we don't have a viable path to that supply chain, then we don't have a business, right? So it's an amazing opportunity where the two things can really go hand in hand. And there's so much work to be done in that space. The first thing I'll tell you about our sustainability program on the farm level is about our AAA program. We're celebrating over 20 years of working with the Rainforest Alliance on a program that works directly with farmers on small shareholder farms throughout every coffee growing country you can imagine. And all of the farms that we work with, all the farmers are known and named to us. We know exactly who they are. In many cases, we're working with second or even third generation farmers, the children of the farmers who originally joined the program. So you can imagine the type of one-on-one trust that is sort of unprecedented at a brand level. Of course, we work with locals on the ground and agronomists that are part of Nespresso in some cases, and in other cases, they're experts that are not part of Nespresso. Right now, that program is really focused on training and honestly opening the farmers' eyes in many ways. As you saw, I visited these farms and I've seen some of the farmers who have grown over the years to trust us and say, I didn't know that there was a different way, right? They have a vision or a view and a lot of history and expertise in farming one way. And our goal and our task is to introduce them to the idea that sustainable farming might feel different, it might cost more, but in the long term, their yields and the quality of their crops will be better. Right now, about 92% of our coffee is farmed through those AAA farms that I mentioned and that program. And we have a goal to get to 95% by 2030, and we're on track to do that. That's really important, again, not because the world knows what AAA is, but because it's our commitment to securing the future of that coffee. I think the other piece of this, as you think about some of the images here, is regenerative agriculture. Obviously, in many ways, that's a really big shift for farmers who have long used chemicals and pesticides, who maybe, again, I always, my personal reference point for regenerative agriculture, I think, is our trained view of farms here in the US, right? Is these perfect crop, lines and space between all the trees. And that's not at all what a good regenerative farm looks like. It's fascinating, right? It almost just looks like nature. And that's what we've had to teach and train the farmers in the AAA program in order to do. Now, what you see and what we've been able to prove through our regenerative agriculture program and our processes on the farm is that it's improving the soil health, of course, that's the first goal, but then it's also attracting birds. So you might wonder, why is there a bird in a presentation about coffee? And I had my doubts as well. But that really represents the biodiversity coming back to the farms. That represents the true nature coming back to itself. And then ending with the blooming of the coffee cherries, of course, right? When I joined Nespresso, I did not know that coffee came in cherries. So that's a fun fact. Hopefully you know that. We should all know more about where our food comes from, right? But here's the challenge. I think when we think about regenerative agriculture, a room like this, there's probably far more expert people about regenerative agriculture, what it looks like than me. But do consumers know and do consumers care? I think we saw a really great presentation before about data and claims helping support market share growth. And we love to hear that, especially as a marketer who's tasked with growth in double digits. I would love for those sustainability claims to be driving our growth in many ways because it's a virtuous circle. That's happening. I think there's progress being made, but we also find that consumers have a very low level of understanding. And so part of our work as a sustainable brand and business is to help educate and upskill the consumers, because at the end of the day, the only way to drive mass change, even beyond Nespresso, is to ensure that there's real consumer demand for regenerative products, which then really changes the industry, not just how Nespresso does business. And so there's one great story that I'll share with you about regenerative agriculture, which was a product we launched last year. We launched honey. Again, why honey, right? Well, I talked about the birds. There's also bees involved, not those kind. But the bees on the farm are a result of the regenerative agriculture farming practices. And through a partnership with UBees over the past few years, we were able to train traditional coffee farmers into how to be beekeepers, not a skill set they normally had. We trained them. They were able to produce another source of income off their farms. We bought it at a premium price, as we do with our coffee. We bottled that up. We talked to consumers about what regenerative agriculture was, why in the world Nespresso was selling honey to go with your coffee, sure, but also just as an expression of our sustainability practices. I'm really pleased to say that that product flew off the shelves. Consumers were really excited about it. And so to me, what that says is when we have tangible examples, not just stories, not just claims, but tangible examples and output of regenerative agriculture practices, that consumers are going to respond and going to start demanding more and more of those products. So really excited about what that very initial pilot did for us and what we might be able to do more in the future. All right, the second stage of our journey, we have farmed our coffee, we've secured it in a sustainable way, but it doesn't stop there. Sustainability has also guided how we package our coffee and why we chose aluminum. I always joke that if I had $1 for every time someone confused us with an unnamed competitor who does not use aluminum, well, I could at least afford a nice meal here in New York City. It is amazing when you're playing in a category that you did not create and the misperceptions associated with the format of our packaging. We intentionally chose aluminum to package our coffee because of two key reasons. One, it goes back to the WIFM, what's in it for me from a consumer perspective. It protects the freshness of the coffee. It effectively hermetically seals in the coffee when it is roasted in Switzerland, and it's packaged in such a way that that coffee is not going to oxidize, ensuring you have the best possible end cup result for the consumer. That's great news. That's why people are going to buy it. That's why they love it. But on top of that, it's also one of the most recyclable materials, and it can be recycled again and again. But herein lies the challenge. I think we all also know that our waste industry in the United States of America is a little challenged. These are small capsules that easily fall through most municipal recycling systems. And so we established our very own program around recycling. We work with UPS to provide bags free of charge to our customers to allow those capsules to come back to us and be recycled through our facilities. We separate the aluminum from the coffee grounds. The coffee grounds turns into amazing organic compost, and the aluminum can be recycled over and over again. In fact, in many cases, our capsules are then recreated We can recreate more capsules out of that recycled aluminum, really creating that full circularity. Our Virtuo capsules right now are about 85% recycled aluminum. So it's a really connected process. Again, I go back to the challenge in the industry, though. The waste industry is a big challenge. It's not the easiest thing, even though we pay for it and we make it free for consumers. It's not the easiest thing for them to use that recycling program. Not everybody wants to go to UPS. Not everyone wants that plastic bag. We would love to get rid of the plastic bag altogether, right? How do you make recycling our product as easy as possible for the consumers? The way we have chosen to do that is 5 years ago, we, again, did something that sort of is unprecedented in many ways. We worked directly with the city of New York. So if you guys live here in New York City and you don't know and you're an espresso drinker, you can put your capsule directly in your blue bin. And that's because we worked with the city to install a machine that happens in the glass flow process, captures that small lightweight aluminum. I didn't say it captures Nespresso capsules. I said it captures small lightweight aluminum. That's good news for anyone who has small lightweight aluminum in their product. You can imagine the other types of products, even some of our competitor products, that could be captured through this system. And that's by design. Yes, of course, we want it to work for our capsules, and we want to make recycling as easy as possible for our customers. That's our ultimate goal, because we don't want to see our product end up in landfill. But we have this added benefit of helping support and grow the pie for everyone from a recycling standpoint. So aluminum is a pretty special material and one that's near and dear to our hearts. But again, there's a challenge. Consumers are kind of lazy, right? At the end of the day, our recycling rate is around 37%. That's not bad when you compare it to other types of materials out there in the world that are being recycled or not being recycled. However, we have an aspiration to get to 60%, and that's a really big jump. That's a really big task that I'm overseeing here in the US. And the way to do that, a lot of people ask me, well, are you going to incentivize it? Are you going to give consumers points? Are you going to give them dollars off? The easy answer is no. We really believe, and through that campaign that you just saw, we really believe that it is our job to inspire, educate, and make it as easy as possible for consumers to recycle, and then invite them to join us. That's working so far. We're seeing small incremental increases in recycling. But my plea to you is, if you are a Nespresso customer or you want to become one, please make sure you start thinking of your Nespresso ritual as not ending when you take that cup off of the machine, but really think about where you're going to dump those used capsules at the end of the day, and work with us to help inspire the next generation of Nespresso lovers that is a core part of the Nespresso ritual. All right, so the third part of our journey, we've now consumed our coffee and we have that garbage effectively, right? Hopefully it doesn't turn into garbage. We think about the second life, of our product. What happens after, even though we've recycled, even though hopefully everyone is coming along with us on the journey, but we consider the full life cycle of our product throughout. And so we think one of the ways to inspire the recycling behaviors that we want to see is through these second life products. You'll see here we've worked with some amazing brands around the world, from Hublot to Caran d'Ache, to use our aluminum that's been recycled and turn it into second life objects that, again, make the consumer feel great, make them feel rewarded, make them feel part of something, that they can actually see the tangible output and impact of their recycling in a product coming to life. People ask us all the time, what does it go to when I recycle? How does it work? And we actually have these wonderful expressions of second life. And that's exciting for us because it's also just a way to drive engagement and loyalty among our fans and followers. It's something that they want an Nespresso branded product that maybe goes beyond their daily cup of coffee. The other program that's part of our circularity efforts here, is our Relove program. And this is one that I will say we have not done a great job at going to market with yet, Tansy. Relove is our circularity program for our machines. So we've talked a lot about the coffee, we've talked a lot about the coffee packaging, but we also have to account for the fact that we are an appliance marketer at the end of the day too. We're an appliance brand. And so what do we do with our machines? Our Relove program is twofold. Number one, it allows consumers to bring their used machines or their broken machines, we don't have a lot of those, bring them back to us and we will refurb them. I am really pleased to say that in a study with our vendor who does the refurbishment, we were able to validate that 0.5% of materials of a used machine that comes back to us ends up in landfill. We are really doing everything we can to capture those materials and make sure that they can be repurposed, recycled, reused, et cetera. And so that's where this becomes the second part of the Relove program, is we're able to then market a sustainable, an even more sustainable option of a machine to our customers called Relove. It's a repurposed, refurbished machine similar to many other brands out there on the market. And I think this part is really exciting if we can do more with it to bring it to life. Consumers are demanding those sustainable products more and more. And so yes, we're offering it every day in your coffee cup, but how might we also offer you that at the beginning when you're choosing which product to buy? So that's our journey, the full flow of Nespresso from bean to cup and even beyond. Really exciting stuff. I think what I would leave you with as a key message, though, is that it's all of our jobs to protect and ensure that we're changing the industry. Yes, changing our internal processes. If you run a brand, if you manage a product, thinking about really deeply understanding your value chain, going to the source and not leaving any stone unturned. Leverage partners, as I mentioned throughout, we've worked with Rainforest Alliance and various other partners. We do not do this alone. But then more importantly, sustainability shouldn't just center on consumer preferences, but how we as business leaders choose to make imperatives and how we go to business. And for us, that means sustainability will now and forever be core to our business, both to protect the future of Nespresso, but also hopefully protect the future of our world. Thank you.